You have found Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggle stories and triumphant successes of business owners across the land. Past episodes of the Authentic Business Adventures program can be found on the podcast link at drawincustomers.com. We are coming to you from the Sun Prairie Community Radio Studios, underwritten by Bank of Sun Prairie. My name is James Kademan, entrepreneur, author, speaker, and helpful coach to small business owners across the country. Today, we're welcoming / preparing to learn from Chris Kenny of Minuteman Press in Waunakee. Chris, how you doing today?
Doing good. How about yourself?
No, Chris, I'm doing well. Well. It was a motorcycle day today, so that's all good.
Yes, it was, wasn't it? It's a beautiful day.
It is, yeah. I don't know how many more we have left, so I'm going to enjoy them while we have them.
Maybe till Thursday.
So, well, I better enjoy a lot of them.
Yeah.
So you are you got a lot going on.
Yep.
You got Minuteman Press in Waunakee, and you just have marketing genius, let's call it. Is that safe to say?
Well, I have an internet company, and I'm vice president of another company out of Portland. Okay, nice. So you got a lot going on. Yes, I do.
All right. So the company out of Portland, is that B2C or B2B?
It's B2B.
B2B, okay. So that one specifically, how do you market that?
It is marketed through mostly speaking events and I would say local community activism. Okay. You know,
local
being part
to
of
Portland.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Most of the business out of Portland comes from a fella by the name of Kent Lewis, who started Anvil Media back in probably in 1996, 98 timeframe.
That's a while ago.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, and him and I both been part of Google AdWords and marketing since day one of Google, basically.
Day one, we're talking
2002.
Okay, I was going to say early 2000s. So okay,
about 2002.
So, so I'm just thinking about this chronologically here. The .com crash happened in 99, 2000, something like that.
That's correct.
So did Google come about after the .com crash?
Google came about in the sense of Google Ads. Okay. You know, Google search engine was around before that. Okay. But not its AdWords.
That is interesting because I don't like now.
And AdSense, where you make your money off of Google clicks, basically, by placing ads on your website or, you know, advertising on Google search in general. Basically started somewhere around 2005.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. And you're a part of that?
What? Been part of Google AdWords since day one. Sure. And Google AdSense since day one. Google Analytics as well since day one.
All right. There are a lot of powerful tools there.
There is a whole suite of tools, including free ones.
Sure. I mean, oh yeah, a lot of them.
Yeah.
So you got to tell me, if I'm a business owner, I want to start a business. Let's just start with we'll go to B2C and then B2B. Is that cool? Yeah. Okay. So let's just say I'm gonna open up. Let's throw you something out of left field. You cool with that? Yeah. I have a student right now in my business planning class who is planning to open up a marijuana dispensary in Wisconsin once it becomes illegal, with the anticipation that it will become legal. Okay. So that's going to be a B2C business. And I imagine once it becomes legal, these things are going to pop up all over the place, right? Just like Walgreens. Right?
Probably.
Maybe at Walgreens. Yeah. It's going to be like CBD oil, right?
Exactly.
So when she's starting a business, she got a marketing plan. She wants to reach out to as many people as she can that are around her area, so local. Yep. What would be the best thing for her to do from a marketing standpoint?
Well, for first, you would want to capture your Google local business. Okay. You know, you'd want to go capture that in your Google business account. Okay. And make sure that all the data is up to date in there, and you have all fresh pictures, and make sure that the pictures you want in there are the pictures that you know that are there. Sure. Due to the fact that Google will, you know, it captures pictures and business information in general. And if you don't capture it, you know, you get what's ever there. Sure. And so that would be the first thing to do. That make sure it's all relevant and accurate. You know, has your little blurb and your story on there, and your business hours and stuff and such like that. Sure. Second, I would probably do something very simple and throw, you know, $1 a day at Google Ads in Google local marketing.
Okay.
I would. It's very simple to set up and get going.
Sure. Just a buck a day.
Yeah, if you've never done it, you've got to start somewhere.
Sure.
And the best thing to do is learn while you're on the run.
Okay.
With that product, you can hire somebody, but you'll end up spending a lot of dollars and not understand anything about it.
Right.
I'd first try to learn a little bit about it.
Okay.
You can actually take classes from Google to learn how to use it.
Online?
Yep.
Okay.
I'd learn how. I would do that. Very important to.
How do you find these classes?
Learn. Just type in Google AdWords University. I mean,
okay.
Google has its own university basically to teach you how to be an expert at all of it.
All right.
The best part about doing it that way would be, and this is just purely my opinion,
sure,
is that you understand what it is that's going on, and how it utilized. You may not be the best at it.
Sure.
That's when you'd hire someone else.
Right. Right.
But the best part would be understand it first,
sure,
so you know what you're hiring.
Right. That's fair.
Somebody might be able to do something for you, and you not even understand it. And now you're kind of tied to them forever because you don't even understand that you don't need them when you don't.
Right. Right.
Or is it even working?
Sure.
A lot of people think that just because the phones are ringing and people are coming to your website, it's got to be working.
Right.
But it could be something completely irrelevant.
Sure.
And there's lots and lots of ways out there to do advertising on the internet yourself.
Sure.
Without really knowing a lot. But if you don't know enough, you could end up falling into the trap of spending money, throwing money at bad things.
Sure. Sure. It's interesting you talk about hiring a person to help with AdWords, because just helping with digital marketing as a whole. Because I've found, maybe I'm just on the lower scale of spend, the amount of money that the professional marketers, so to speak, right, very loose term, were charging to help me fix the online ads that I was using. It was almost cheaper for me to throw stuff against the wall and get the same result, because what they were charging was not direct ad spend, where if I, let's just say you're going to spend $1,000 or something like that, 500 of it goes to ad spend, 500 goes to this guy so that he can eat and poke around your ads, or I can spend $1,000 of ad spend. I can be twice as bad as that guy and still come out even.
Yes, exactly. That's why I said, the best thing you do is create your first ad.
Yeah.
You might not be any good at it, but if you don't try, you'll never understand.
Sure.
And the best thing you can do in the marketing game on the internet is to understand something about it.
Sure.
There is a lot of resources available to you as a small business. You can reach out to pretty much any of the local ad agencies that will help you. But again, you get what you pay for.
Sure.
But it might work, but you won't understand why.
Sure.
And if you don't understand why, now you're kind of you're in the marketing trap.
Right.
You're held hostage by that company. And if they've done things wrong, but were successful, meaning created a campaign for you that was built off of stuff they built. When you leave, they take it with them.
Sure.
And you have no ownership.
Right.
So the best thing to do is create your own account for Google Ads, create your own ads, and then have somebody go in there and tweak it after you know how to run it.
Sure.
And then give them permission, basically, into your account. It's admin permission.
Sure.
It's kind of like they're your business marketing coach, you know, and they'll go in there and they can tweak it, set up. And if you're not seeing results, you can delete them as admin.
Sure.
Now you have what they've left behind.
Right.
You know, you never have them create their own account for you and do it for you. That's really a bad idea.
Sure.
It's kind of like the game of I can get you to the top of search engines. Everybody gets those calls.
Sure.
You know. And when
they never jump up and down. I'll get you on page 3. Right?
Well, yeah, right, exactly. The real issue really is that when you're really going at your marketing campaign as a small business, you really think that it's going to be exactly what everybody told you it was going to be.
Sure.
until you go do it.
Right.
And then you realize that it might, you're good at your things, but you might not be good at other things.
Sure.
So of course you're going to hire an expert, right? Mm-hmm. Outside of hiring that expert, the best thing you can do is just become an expert yourself.
Sure.
Even if your aptitude is not marketing.
Right.
It can be.
Sure.
If you just understand how to use the tools. They work on their own.
Sure.
You wouldn't believe how much stuff in Google is automated.
Well, I bet quite a bit.
Well, yeah, you can set it up to automatically create the ads for you based off the content that's on your website.
Oh, interesting.
That
part I didn't know. That's
yes,
cool.
you can. Yeah, you can have it populate the links, populate the data that it selects to create the ads for you.
Huh.
So
well, that's cool.
Works out really well. That's why I said you start with a small amount,
right?
And you're basically throwing money at the wall, seeing some sticks,
right?
But you're not burning your budget doing that. You can
spend thousands of dollars a month.
You can do some things that are very wise to do quickly, which is to blanket your market area with local marketing.
Sure.
Flyers, mailers, all kinds of interesting stuff.
Sure.
That is normal. What a lot of people call old school, but it still works.
Yeah.
And the key is to, if you need to jump into it quick, the internet's not something you're going to jump into quick and make work quick unless you got a lot of money to throw at an expert to do it for you and you're willing to keep throwing that money at that person.
Sure.
The day you start your business, you're going to get the call that says, hey, can I get you to the top of the search engine?
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You want to improve your rankings, right?
Sure.
The best advice in the world is to build your website for a deaf person.
For a deaf person?
Yep.
Okay.
Build your website so that when you navigate through it, it reads to them. You can build it for a blind person too.
Okay.
Which is probably the number one best. Actually, build it for the blind.
Okay.
That way it reads to you.
Sure.
That way all your content is correct.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
A deaf person can read, right? But they're not going to hear all the things that you might put on your site as we go into the to the audio world of Alexa,
right?
And Siri. Yeah.
There's there's a lot of video, right?
Audio search is becoming the number one growing thing.
Because of the Alexas of the world. Okay.
Right. So you want to keep the blind person as your build the site for the lowest common denominator of marketing to a user.
Okay.
And they all use the internet. People don't understand that, and they build these visually great sites, right?
Sure.
But what about the person that can't see it? They still need to. You need to accommodate the disabilities. In your website. It's really important.
I want to ask you about something. Kind of going down that road. I've seen, I guess I would say in the past year and a half, some websites that can be, when I look at them on a desktop, right? I'm sitting in my office at my desk, and I have a real size monitor, not some 5-inch phone or something like that. The website looks gargantuan, has very little text. The buttons are huge, and it's clearly made for a mobile. It's a mobile site that just happens to be on a desktop. Now those sites have very little text. So I have found that the more text that I have on my website, the more Google and the search engines understand what my site is about. So generally speaking, the higher I rank.
There's tags and definitions you can put in the code.
Okay.
That allow you markup language.
Okay.
That allow you to drive the business to you from those means other than just Google looking at your site.
Sure.
There's devices that will read the website to the person that can't see it.
Sure.
That there's devices that will give them braille about your website.
Okay.
And as they scroll through it, it's giving them, the context of what your website's about. Google looks at the usability of your website, and the usability has to include the person that has disabilities.
Sure.
Otherwise, you're you're leaving out an entire market that deserves to have access to
right.
you as well.
That's fair.
Right?
That's fair.
So the best thing you can possibly do is build it for that person.
Sure.
And then you ultimately get the person that's visual too,
mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But you get the person that can't see but can hear, but can't hear but can see.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And that's really important
mm-hmm.
for your business.
Okay.
In general.
Sure.
It really has nothing to do with Google, right?
Right.
Google's going to look at you based on your usability.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's going to contextually look at you from your context.
Sure.
And that's your content.
Mm-hmm.
Content's king and always will be.
So you're talking about
content you have.
Volume, value?
Volume,
okay.
and usability.
Okay.
Who can use your site and why is it important for you to be given to that person when they're looking for you?
Sure. Okay.
So you want to become more relative to the local community around you
mm-hmm.
if that's your market.
Sure.
If the nation is your market, then
mm-hmm.
you want to become the nation.
Sure.
Right.
So we paused for a second or just hit a tangent here with the B2C. So they got a website.
Right.
They're up on Google Ads, mm-hmm. spend $1 a day,
mm-hmm.
just getting a feel for how the ads
mm-hmm.
work. What's the next step?
The next step is to implement Google Analytics on your site. I'd do that at the same time.
Sure.
You'd want to start an AdWords account. And you'd want to start an analytics account
mm-hmm.
To understand what the analytics are. You can take a class on
sure.
Google about analytics and what it means. That's a real hard topic.
Sure.
Because you need all kinds of different types of knowledge to really understand what that's telling you.
Sure.
But if you don't have a person, you can find a data person to tell you what the data means.
Sure.
But how is it relative to you?
Well, with analytics, you can see, generally speaking, where people are coming from.
You can see where they're coming from,
Male,
where they
female,
came.
age.
Yep, age, demographics. That's only if they can gather that from other means.
Sure.
Did Facebook sell it to them?
Sure.
Did, who gave them the data?
Right.
Right.
And then there's what website brought them to your website, right?
100%.
Sure. Which is important.
Which is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Also, where your search rankings are at.
Sure.
What keywords
mm-hmm.
came to you,
sure.
for your business. Because came to you meaning that they're going to give you keywords that they think are
mm-hmm.
relative to you. But what if they're not?
Yeah.
An example is a good one is a trailer. Trailer is a movie.
Oh, sure. Preview.
Preview, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it also is a cargo trailer.
Sure.
Or a utility trailer. Or
mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that you would want to have you'd want to have a negative keyword for trailer that said don't include movies if you were selling cargo trailers.
Sure.
But if you were selling movie ads, you'd want to get rid of all the trailers. Right. So there's negative keywords that you want to get rid of. So
mm-hmm.
knowing the keywords that people are finding you is very important to the quality of the traffic.
Sure.
Yeah. I can make 1 million people go to your website and no one still buy anything.
It's interesting. I totally believe that. I paid a company, I don't know, let's call it a couple grand, to help me out with one of my business's websites to bring in visitors, right? Because I'm like, the more visitors we have, eventually someone's going to be like, this is what I'm looking for. Let's roll with this. Send James some money, right? So they did increase the volume of visitors. It just so happened that volume of visitors was from Russia, right?
Correct.
It was junk. Mm-hmm. Right? So they're like, oh, look, you had 12 visitors before. Now you had 250 visitors. Look at all the magic that we did for you. And so they had the whole analytics report.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, 240 of these are from outside the country. So I'm pretty sure no one outside of the country is looking for the service that I have. There's the whole language thing. And there's quite a few reasons why people in Russia aren't really interested in purchasing from me, right? For call answering services, right? There's the whole hours thing. When we're open, they're sleeping, whatever. And so I kind of called her out on it. And she's like, oh, when we look at all this, we had an extra, I don't know, it was like 5 visitors for the month.
Right.
I'm like, 5 visitors that's nothing. Mm-mm. That's accidentally coming to my website.
The best traffic is direct traffic, right?
Okay,
They're looking for your name. Mm-hmm. They found you. That's why the old school. I keep calling it old school, but it's current, which is mailers, flyers, door hangers, radio, TV. Those all work for certain types of business.
Sure,
but they work for really any business if it's done right, because it's proven. Right? I can drive people to your local business if they know you're there and you have a product they need.
It's awareness, right?
It's awareness. Search engine's just going to make everybody aware of everybody around you.
Sure.
So to stand out, of course, everybody wants to be on page 1.
Right,
of the search.
Yeah.
But the traffic quality is really important, because even if you were on page 1, what if you're on page 1? Again, we'll use the trailer example. What if you're on page 1 for movie trailers, but you're trying to sell cargo trailers?
Sure.
Doesn't really help you.
No,
the quality of traffic you're going to get if someone clicks on your stuff,
it's junk.
It's junk, right?
Nobody's happy there. They're not happy. They're not happy. You're not happy.
Right. So you really need to be able to set. You need to be able to set your environment.
Sure.
And within the Webmaster's Toolkit, basically from Google.
Sure.
The Webmaster Council. You can select in there your business marketing area. Very broadly, we'll just say the United States.
Okay.
Right. So you can tell Google that the United States is somewhere where you want traffic to come from.
Sure.
And that your business isn't relative to anybody outside the United States.
Sure.
So now that traffic, you've just disqualified. Google will not show you to French, Japan, Russia. They won't show you to Mexico, Canada. They won't show you to any of the places.
Sure.
Because you've told them that you're not relative to them. So, like I said, you want to be able to understand your marketing from that standpoint of through education.
Sure.
It's going to be your most powerful asset is to educate yourself. You're going to end up hiring somebody to help you, but you don't need them permanently. I help out lots and lots of people, just not for profit.
Sure.
Just because I want to see small businesses succeed. So in the end, the information that I'm giving them is relative to them learning how to do it.
Sure.
And I explain step by step, right? So naturally, you're going to be able to let me go.
Right.
You're gonna walk away knowing something, which is very important. If you're going to spend money, you want to know what it is that someone's telling you.
Sure.
Otherwise, they can bamboozle you.
Right.
I
feel
just
like the whole network marketing
Russia coming to your site. That you were led to believe because someone explained the analytics to you.
Sure.
This is it. But
look at all these people.
But you knew enough about what you were doing, and you knew that there was no more money in your pocket.
Right.
So the traffic's not quality traffic. Conversion rate, things like conversion rate, time on site, how many pages people view on your site, where they do what they do when they're on your site, hot mapping.
Sure.
Those key words like that you'll learn are very relative to you.
Sure.
People linking to your site is very important.
Sure.
Because you want people to link to you to say that you're good for this. That's why I come to you, is because I've had other people do your services and use your services and felt that they were great. So I told somebody else by either linking from my website or giving you a review.
Sure.
But reviews are so washed out nowadays. If you've went and you've seen 10,000 reviews and they're 4 or 5 star, and you go through there and you start reading them, you'll find that after a certain point there's reviews that actually say nothing.
Yeah.
And they just stars.
Sure. Right.
So what good is that? Realistically,
reviews are weird. That's a whole other subject, right?
Right.
It's anonymous to a point.
Correct.
And it's was that your mom leaving that review, or was it a happy customer?
Well,
was it someone that left a bad review?
I would believe a local person when I'm traveling that told me this is a good place to eat.
Sure.
If I found that me and that person had something in common.
Sure.
But I wouldn't necessarily believe the taxi driver that I jumped in the car with or the Uber driver just because the Uber driver said it was good. If I didn't find that we had something in common, your tastes are very unique to you, right?
See, I trust the Uber driver.
But
more than I trust a random review.
You trust them because you found something in common with them while you're driving with them, most likely.
Maybe,
through conversation.
Sure.
Yeah. Sure. Your ability to adapt to human behavior is quicker.
Sure.
You can read a person very fast and learn, within a few seconds, know if you're going to like them or not like them. Right. So, I trust that Uber driver quickly too, but I wouldn't recommend everybody do that unless you're that type of person that reads people very well and you can find commonality quickly.
Well, I just mean versus an anonymous.
Because if I said to that, where's great Italian food?
Sure.
Well, that is very broad statement, right? Type that into Google, great Italian food, close to me.
Right.
Right. You're going to find that you could
pick count.
Yeah, but right. Because somebody else's great might not be your great. Right. That plays into the analytics of your business. That's why you want, analytics. There's lots of analytical platforms out there. Mm-hmm. The free tools that aren't always the best tools, but you can start there. Mm-hmm. Anything that you use for free isn't free. So you're giving data to somebody. So the best thing you could do, in my opinion, would be buy a business account from Google and use their tools with your business account. You can pay for G Suite. Yeah. Best thing you can do for your business if you want to understand Google, and Google's the market you're going to play in for your internet advertising.
Sure.
Because G Suite is a set of tools that they provide, and when you pay for them, the terms of service are different than the free terms of service.
Oh, interesting.
So data, they can't take data from you and use your data, right, if you're paying for their services.
Sure.
It's kind of a different ballgame. I would never use a free email account for my business email.
Okay.
Never.
Sure. Okay.
Ever.
All right.
There's data gathering out of that.
Sure.
I'm not talking Google. I'm talking anybody.
Sure.
You use your free Facebook.
Right.
They use that free data. Mm-hmm. People always get mad about that.
Yeah.
Right? So marketing on Facebook,
that's
you're
just
paying.
A snowball that's building, I guess. People getting upset about data.
Well,
data being stored without.
How many times do you let people just walk through your house because they walk through your neighborhood?
Never.
Exactly. You make them knock on the door, right?
Right.
And then you evaluate who they are or what they are, and then you let them in. So when you use a free website, look at it as in reverse, right? That's why everybody that knows anything about privacy recommends, if you're going to use a free tool, lock it down as much tight as possible.
Sure.
From the rest of the world.
Right.
But you can't lock it down from the owner of the product.
Right. Very tough to do.
Right. So the best thing to do is just to stay off of them if you don't want anybody to give your data.
Right.
Odds are your data is already there and out there, and everybody knows everything about you. Mm-hmm. So you just don't know that the people in the background know that about you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I had a conversation with Dan on the air here, and we were talking about this, and he's like, I don't care that they got my data. I got nothing to hide. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't believe that, because anything in context could be tweaked so that it maybe is good, but it looks bad.
Hey, how about this? I want you to buy popcorn, so every fifth frame of a movie, I'm going to put a little popcorn ad there, and I'm going to squirt some smell into the air, so you smell the popcorn, and eventually you go buy popcorn.
Right.
So you don't really care that people know your data,
right?
When I can instantly turn you into a sale that you didn't need,
right?
But you believed you need because you walked through and I had your phone buzz, and how many times have pay attention the next time that you're doing something on the web, or you made a phone call, or you went to a business, and then watch the ads that come at you.
Oh yeah,
and you'll
absolutely.
find instantly that you're marketed based on what they knew about your location,
right?
So why does it matter? Well, the more you educate yourself about how to market your business, the more you're going to learn about that data and how that data is used and how it's used to help somebody sell something to you. The best thing you can do is to learn about it. Read books, practice.
Right.
That's why I said $1.
Sure.
Use $1.
Just get started, right?
Right. If you don't have any marketing money, you're not going to succeed anyway.
Right. That's fair.
Because
unless you have a very large family,
or you have a niche that nobody else is in.
Right.
Nobody, and you're the only one. I'm the only 10-foot tall person. Odds are you don't have to market yourself for being 10 foot tall.
Sure.
Right? Because
you just walk down the
street.
street.
Walk down the street, and you're your own, everybody's going to see you. But
right.
I don't
know
if you're 5'10", right, you're going to have to market yourself because there's a lot of 5'10" people.
Right. Right.
It sounds.
What does a 10-foot guy sell? Weather balloons.
Well, you don't know, but the point is
sure.
himself.
Right.
To come see that 10-foot person because no
one's
seen
cat out
him,
of a tree.
Right. Well, learning your marketing tools is going to be real important to understanding what somebody else is going to do to help you gain value.
Sure.
If you don't understand it, you're never going to know it.
Right. So let's.
So you spent the $1.
Yeah.
Right. You decided you've read the books. You understand about it. Right. What's the next step? Right.
Yeah. What is the next step?
The next step is to engage an expert.
Engage an expert. Okay.
Yep.
Marketing expert?
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody, more than one. Engage a few of them.
Okay.
Have them pitch you.
Okay.
Have them evaluate your business. They'll give free evaluations. They'll pit you against 3 or 4 of your competitors, and then they'll give you an evaluation of what the competitor is doing, what you're doing, and where you could improve. With that knowledge you've gained, you're going to know a little more, right?
Sure.
And you're going to learn a little bit. Believe it or not, the more you engage them to do that, the more you're going to learn.
Sure.
How many cars did you look at before you bought a car?
A lot.
Because you're learning.
Sure.
You're learning where they move the number from the top to the bottom, and how they your trade-in car was used. How everybody uses it different. But if you went and bought from the very first one you went to, and you went and did it, the odds of you getting exactly what you needed and what you wanted and everything are a lot less.
Sure.
Right? You could end up getting exactly what you wanted.
Sure.
You could, because the person that you sold, the person that sold to you could have been a great human reader.
Sure.
Could read you well, knew what you listened well, figured out what you wanted, and then you bought.
Right.
Right. So when you go to all those marketing people and you evaluate them, they evaluate you. They're going to give you information that was relative to what you learned. And now you can go back to your AdWords account and try a few things they told you.
Oh, tweak,
right? Right? Adding them negative keywords in there. Oh, I didn't know that.
Sure.
Right? Or pay them to set up your account and then leave.
Sure.
All right? I just want you to go into my account and tweak it and make it the way you would. How much is that going to cost me?
Sure.
I don't want you to do anything. I just want you to create me 5 ads that you think are the best.
Sure. That'd be cool.
Then make them leave.
Right.
Right. And then apply that $1.
Right.
And maybe throw $5 at one. See what happens. Right?
Sure.
You're experimenting while not burning lots and lots of money. And as long as you're doing your local marketing, the marketing that works, you joined your local chamber. Very important thing to do. You joined clubs that are relative to what you believe in life and the mission you have to help others.
Sure.
Giving back is an important thing to your local business.
Sure.
So you're doing all these things that you already know work because they've worked for 50 years. They still work today.
Right.
TV, radio, they're expensive.
Yes.
So before you jump into doing that, you'd want to do the things that, joining your chamber is not expensive.
No.
Participating in the chamber events is not expensive.
No.
Great people. You're going to learn there's a lot of people that are great around your neighborhood, around your business that you didn't even knew a lot more than maybe you.
Sure.
And some may know less than you. But you'll still learn by participating in those events. That is going to drive more business first before throwing a bunch of money at internet marketing is going to do it.
Sure.
That's
fair.
It's just not. It's not going to be your big win unless you won the lottery. Okay, you want to start that business up and you're going to throw $1 million of marketing at it. That works. And the reason why is because you can buy the best person. Who does Taco Bell marketing? I want that person. And if you can afford that person, if your product is in that same market space, they're going to be fairly good at it. Right.
Yep.
But can you afford it? So small businesses, best advice would be to become local. Right. And shop local.
Yeah.
Right. Eat in your own neighborhood. Right. Learn what's around you. Your product that you're selling hopefully is relative to the local market you're in.
Sure.
That's the biggest failures I see, and you see them a lot when you're in the industry of marketing. You see people, what they do is when times get tough, they stop marketing because they run out of money. Right.
I have to thank people that did that though in 2009.
Yeah.
Because I could afford to be on the radio and TV.
Then. Yep, that's right.
Because all these people are pulling their ads.
Yep. But their businesses are going away.
Yes, a lot of them did.
You need to ramp up your marketing when things are down. It's important to spend the money wisely. Very, very appropriate way to spend your money is in the local community. That you sell in.
Yeah.
Getting to know, why did door-to-door salesmen do so well that sold vacuums for $2,700 that no one really ever really needed, but yet they sold a lot of them.
Yeah.
Well, because they were shopping and buying and you saw them all the time.
Yeah.
You'd see the guy in your chamber. You'd see him at the Kiwanis Club, or you would see him at the the Mason, or you'd see him at church. You'd see him somewhere, right? And he would sell you, and he would convince you that you needed that, and it might have been a great vacuum, right?
Or they're probably making $2,500 off each one, right?
Right, but he was doing well.
Right.
You were happy when they left, usually, because you got what you thought you needed. Right. And then the problem is they disappeared. Right. Because they ran out of the local market. Right. And they had to go to the next market.
Because they don't want to hear the people saying, I never used that vacuum.
And I didn't need it.
Yeah.
Right. So
I want my money back.
So being relative to your local market that you're in is going to be more important than throwing money at some online marketing that you're not going to understand. And you're going to, just type in your local search engine, lawsuits against internet marketing companies. There is a lot of them. Because people will spend half of their savings at some vision that somebody gave them. And destroyed their business. Yes. Or they lost all their money because it didn't give them what was promised.
Somebody selling hope and fear. People bought into it.
So reading, educating, and knowing where to get the right information for that is important.
Yeah.
And one place to start is that Google University.
All right.
You know, learn the tools. Those free tools are real powerful.
Sure.
And when you're really going to implement them, buy the business package.
Okay.
Right? G Suite.
The G Suite. Okay.
Yeah. And use the tools then.
Sure.
That they give you.
Right.
Right? Because
I want to clarify something here, just to reiterate a point that you made. You were saying before that nothing free is really free, right? But it's in Google's best interest for you to place ads with them and to know how to do it so that you're successful. Because that means that the users of Google are then happy. You're happy because your ads are working, you're getting paid.
Yep.
So everybody wins when you know what you're doing.
They're also going to help you be successful.
Sure.
They're not really against you, and they're trying to pit your competition against you to drive you against them. That's not in their best interest.
Right.
What's in their best interest is that you all succeed.
Right.
So they're going to do what's best for everybody to succeed in marketing.
Sure.
Especially when it comes to letting them decide some of the automated approaches to making you successful.
Sure.
And a lot of these tools have auto drive.
Right.
You create it, they learn about it. As long as you have the analytics on your site, you have the AdWords account, you're going to learn quite a bit.
Sure.
If you just take a couple classes on how to do it.
Right.
You might still hire that expert.
Sure.
But you're going to know a lot better which one is an expert.
Right.
Right? And you're going to know, set a budget, set a test time.
Sure.
Set a time frame. Determine your successes and your failures, and figure out what you learned from them before you go to the next step.
Sure.
Don't just throw thousands of dollars at something for nothing.
Right.
Right. There is a strategic approach to marketing your product successfly, and figuring out why something's not working in your analytics. Best to learn human behavior. So read something about human behavior. Read something about internet marketing in general.
Sure.
But I wouldn't read one from somebody that is just selling you a book.
Right.
That's why I said go to the university, Google University. That's what I hear people call it all the time. It's
where do they find that?
Google University. You just go to Google, and they have classes on how to become an expert in AdWords.
Okay.
So when you sign up with your business tools and stuff, you can find all of that in Google. Okay. Everything in your business account will be in there in the G Suite. Okay. You will learn. You can find all the tools in there that will help you and figure it out. Okay. There's no magic button. To get you to the top of a search engine.
Right. Everyone would be using it if there was, right?
If somebody called me up, first thing I always do when someone calls our business says, "Hey, I can get you to the top of search engines," I always ask, "Where are you?" Because if you can get me to the top of a Google search, you don't need me. Right. You already made a bunch of money and probably going to write a book on how to get to the top of Google search.
I feel the same way about financial planners, right? If you were really good at what you were doing, you wouldn't be chasing me. You'd be chasing people that had 7-figure incomes, right? If you're really good,
you would have the money,
or you wouldn't need to sell. You'd be investing on your own, and everything's happy.
I find that a lot of things in your life run that way. Sure. That there are those that really want to help, and those that want to help themselves. By helping you. Right. And reality sinks in when you start throwing money at things. Sure. Because a lot of things will start to come to fruition, bad or good. Right. When you start throwing money at it. Right. And your number one objective when you open your new business is going to be successful marketing, and getting people in the door buying your product. And when things slow down, you're going to want to know why. Right. And knowing why, I think, is going to be your biggest hurdle. Sure. When things are down. Right. And there's simple approaches to learning why things are going the way they're going. It literally could be, did you make a change on your website since the last time when it was going well?
Right.
Or it could be, what's happening to your local community? What's happening?
Yeah.
Did vape is a great analogy of how things were. Whoa, it's the best thing in the world. It's better than
better than cigarettes.
And now all these things are happening and and everything's going crazy. And now do you really want to open a vape store now? If you think about that market in general, it is changing. And you could, if you're not paying attention to everything around you, you're so focused on your internet, you may not really realize that that's what's impacting your sales.
Sure.
Is
that's
that
fair.
Now it's it's
taboo.
It's taboo. Right. So you have to fight that in one way or another if you want to stay in that business.
It's interesting you say that, right? Because I tell my class, I say, when we're talking about marketing, I say, what would happen if Oprah came on TV and said that whatever it is that you're selling is fantastic?
Right.
Would you have the capacity to take that on? And then flip side, what if Oprah came on there and said, this stuff is terrible, you should stay away from it? What could you do to pivot? Right? Could you?
You could.
Yeah.
You would just have to attack the problem.
Right.
And you'd have to define it. You'd have to really, having Oprah say something like that might really be a bad thing for your business if she said, you were taboo. Right?
Sure. Right.
Because of the brand recognition.
Right.
Right.
And she's got a broad reach, right?
Well, that's the brand recognition, right?
And she doesn't need to pay for
that brings a real important part up for small business. Brand recognition is very powerful.
Sure. Oh, huge.
Right? So when you can use AdWords in different ways. You can build a brand with it, or you can drive a conversion with it. What are you trying to do? So you want to set your mission.
Sure.
When you first start any marketing.
Yeah.
I don't care what marketing you're going to do. You want to define your objectives.
Sure.
Right? Is my everybody, well, of course my objective is to sell a product to
Convert.
you. Well, is it? Always. Sometimes it might be I want them to know my brand.
Sure.
Because an example of that.
Okay.
Billboards.
Okay.
Right? You drive by them. Drive by them every day. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to go buy something because you drove by that billboard.
Sure.
But if I drove by that billboard for 10 years and it said, donuts are free at Jim's Donuts on Fridays, right? And I kept doing it, and I wanted donuts, and it was Friday. I'm gonna be going, hey, I think Jim's Donuts has free donuts on Friday.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
You just sold your product off of brand recognition.
Right.
But it had nothing to do.
Jim's not doing so hot there.
But it had nothing to do with your internet marketing per se.
Sure.
So when you're internet marketing or you're marketing anything, you want to look at it. Am I trying to build my brand?
Sure.
Or am I trying to do a conversion, making, sell a product, a piece of something?
Sure.
Or am I trying to do both at the same time? Right. There's ways to do that.
Sure.
I would never, ever send out a mailer without having a
call to action.
Call to action, correct. That action, but it has to be good. People put on their sale on Friday. Well, what? There's a sale every Friday. Right. Just because you told someone in a mailer there was mail, that didn't really convert for you.
Right.
Right. You might have sent them all out, and you wonder, well, I had the same amount of people come in
that
I always had. Well, you just told those same people that the sale. But what if this week the sale was 50% off your first product?
Right.
Right. Now, and you never do that. Right. That's a call to action that might actually drive another person that didn't come.
Sure.
Right.
That's fair.
They didn't care.
That's fair.
And I always love it when people say, well, you know what I do with those mailers? I just rip them up and I throw them, I tear them up, and that self-addressed stamp envelope, I stuff them back in there and I send it right back to them.
Sure.
The funny thing is that just tells them that, number one,
you
got it.
Yeah.
And number two, you took the time to tear it up and put it in there. And so guess what? You became part of the next list that they'll sell.
Yeah.
And now that you've just certified that you look at it.
Right.
And what you don't realize is when you're looking at it, you just built a brand.
Yep.
And you just
we
saw
own a
something.
little piece of your head.
Yep. And you just became another sale. You know, the best thing to do is to throw it away because they don't know if you got it.
Right. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting. Holy cow, Chrispin. This has been, time flies by here.
It does.
So we didn't even talk about B2B. Would B2B change? Would you tweak what you're doing?
Well, if you know how to market, who you market to is going to change when you go B2B.
Sure.
Because you need to get to the right person in the business.
Right.
Right. So your target market is going to be is synonymous to the word B2B.
Sure. Right.
But you're not really selling to the business.
Sure.
You're selling to somebody who's making a decision.
Right. It's
in
still
the
a person.
Business.
Sure.
Right. So really, that person's a consumer. Right. So how you target them and what tools you use to get to them would change.
Okay.
And some of the language you might use would change.
Sure.
But they're still a consumer.
Sure.
They're a business. A mailer that goes to a consumer and a mailer that goes to a business are going to be treated totally different.
Sure.
But it could be one and the same because they are a consumer.
Okay.
It depends what your product is.
Sure.
Does John Deere only sell parts to John Deere dealers? No. They sell parts to the consumer too.
Sure.
Right? So naturally they sell it to the farmer too,
right.
who's a business, right? They sell them to everybody that buys their tractors.
Sure.
Right? So their marketing is going to be different to the different markets, consumer and the business, but yet it's still similar, right? And
That's
the
fair.
brand is always the same, right?
Yeah.
So it's about brand building while you're trying to convert a sale.
Sure.
Person into a sale.
Right.
So you want to try to learn as much as you can about the market you're trying to attack.
Yeah.
Right. But you want to participate in that market.
Sure.
Locally.
Right.
Human to human contact is very powerful.
That's very true.
And if you're not
Lost
doing
art for
that,
some people.
if you're not doing it,
right,
you're not going to most likely be successful in a local market unless your product can be sold over the internet.
Sure.
Delivered through technology.
Sure.
Over the wire. Right? You can be successful in marketing on the internet, an internet product that is internet bound, internet delivered.
Sure.
And doesn't need that contact.
Right.
Your success will then come from your support.
Right.
Of your product.
That's fair.
Right.
That's fair.
But how many things do people sell that you can push through that internet wire? So then
that number's increasing.
It is.
Every day.
It is. But you still have to support it.
Sure. Very true.
And so then you're back to the community again.
Very true. Very true. So. Awesome. So, Chris, it's been a blast with you being on the show. You've given a lot of good information. If people want to reach you, how can they find you?
They can reach us at printthis@minutemanpress.com.
Print this, all one word.
Yep, all one word.
I like it.
And
I like it.
You can check out our promotional website at minutemanmadison.com.
minutemanmadison.com. Awesome. And you are located in Waunakee, is that correct?
That's correct.
And it's just off Main Street? What's the address?
Right. It is 113 South Street, Waunakee.
Awesome. And you guys do hats, shirts, paper of any size, banners?
We do. We're a marketing company.
Nice.
And we actually are a factory.
Very cool.
We produce the product, not a middleman.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for being on the show, Chris.
Thank you.
This has been Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggle, stories, and triumphant successes of business owners across the land, coming to you from the Sun Prairie Community Studios, underwritten by Bank of Sun Prairie. If you are listening to this on the web, please like, subscribe, and share. My name is James Cademan, and Authentic Business Adventures is brought to you by Calls on Call, offering call answering and receptionist services for small businesses across the country, on the web at callsoncall.com, as well as Draw In Customers Business Coaching, offering business coaching services for entrepreneurs in all stages of their business, on the web at drawincustomers.com. And of course, The Bold Business Book, a book for the entrepreneur in all of us, available on Amazon and wherever fine books are sold. We'd like to thank you, our wonderful listeners, as well as our guest, Chris Kenny of Minuteman Press in Waunakee. You got to go there, check them out. You guys have so much cool stuff there.
Thank you.
Find us airing on 103.5 Wednesdays at 1 p.m., Sundays at 2 p.m., as well as at sunprairemediacenter.com. Past episodes can be found morning, noon, and night at the podcast link found at drawincustomers.com. Thank you for listening. We will see you next week. I want you to stay awesome. And if you do nothing else, you know what to do. Enjoy your business.